Blend Bunny and Ellis Atlantis are giving you round 2, and I am so ready to show you guys some swatches, create a look. We've got all the things, so if you guys are nosy, just keep watching. If this happens to be your first time on my channel, welcome. My name is Karen Harris. I love to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube, so we give you tan girl swatches. So if that sounds good to you, if you're interested in indie makeup like I am, highly recommend subscribing to my channel, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay, if my base makeup is looking a little bit funky, it's only because I swatched the Shimmer palette in this collection. So I just want to do a quick look here, show you guys the palettes and show you the swatches. I thought, what can I do that's a little different, because I know everybody and their grandma's posting their videos on this collection and it's launching today when you guys are seeing this. So I thought, let me give you guys some eye swatches. So first we have close-ups and just regular swatches on my arm. So let me tell you a little bit about this entire collection. We have a large collection. I'm going to show you the picture here that Blend Bunny has. I already forgot that the all matte palette actually comes in a version where it's split in half. So they just sent me the big palette, but keep all of the information in mind when I'm showing you the swatches and reading you the info. So this is volume 2, and it says, we poured our hearts and countless hours into this creation since the birth of volume 1. Dreaming up a sister collection that opens new realms. So this palette is launching today at 10 a.m. PST. Every item is fully magnetic, allowing shades from volume 1 and 2 to come together so you can curate your own fantasy. I feel like if you have 1 and 2, once you have this more neutral version, you'll probably never realistically need another eyeshadow palette. But of course, that's not exactly how the world works, so we'll probably continue on buying more eyeshadow, but really I feel like they did not skip a color with these two palettes combined. So the volume 2 Eye and Face palette, which is the bigger palette, let's talk about that one first, because albeit it's the more boring palette, and you will see in the swatches the way it's laid out, we have shades from light to dark, and then in the next row they start from dark to light. So it looks interesting when you swatch it. I wonder if anybody that's like super picky will go ahead and rearrange the palette so that all the light shades are together. And if you did do that, I feel like you'll really find that the light shades are quite similar. But I also understand if you are a eyeshadow aficionado, you probably love like every subtle difference in undertone. So who am I to judge but a lowly YouTuber? So anyway, volume 2, this palette redefines what a neutral eyeshadow can be. With 30 velvety matte shades, it's your gateway to endless neutral dreams, exploring subtle shifts in hues and undertone to create the fantasy you desire. From cool tone 90s moments to romantic rose tinted tones, this palette offers possibilities you never ever knew you craved. So that palette's going to retail for $42. And I will say, I think that some of those shades will pair really nicely with some of the shades in this palette, especially because you could use some of them to make the colorful shades in this palette more pastel. So that's an option. Granted, we do have a white and a black in this one as well. So more is more sometimes, and we love that for us. Okay, so then we have volume 2 Original and Imperial. These are the two palettes I don't have, but I think this is such a genius thing to do. So they basically split the Original Eye and Face palette up into 2 palettes. So if you're leaning more towards the warm tones, maybe you want to skip the more mauvey cool tone palette, and I think it just makes sense. I love options. I love options, so I think that was really smart. And also, if you were going to customize a palette, maybe you want to do 15 shades in a custom palette, you could throw in some sparkles, you could throw in some of the neutral shades, you could throw in some of the fun pops of color in the Atlantis Volume 1, so you got a lot to do here. So Original and Imperial are basically 15 pan companions one cool and one warm. This way you can embrace Volume 2's magic at your own pace, and these are going to be $21 each. So I think that was super duper smart. Last but certainly not least, of course, the star of the show, the all shimmer palette, is the Garden of Stars. This is an 18 shade constellation of ethereal tones. This palette extends the creative universe of Volume 1 and 2, designed for the eyes but never bound by that limit. These shades transform when brushed across cheeks or tapped onto lips, weaving starlight into every eye look. So this palette's going to be $48, and that's going to be the most expensive piece in the collection. Now, usually I go through and tell you guys like, oh, this shade is this shade is this undertone, but I actually did eye swatches of the Garden of Stars palette. So let's go ahead and roll into the eye swatches. I'm going to do eye swatches of the Ellis, Atlantis, and Blend Bunny collab palette. This one is the Garden of Stars, so it's the all shimmer palette. I would love to do eye swatches of the mattes as well, but I don't know how long my eyes will last, and I believe this palette is launching the day you're going to see this video, so I don't have a ton of time. But I thought maybe the shimmers, it might come in handy. So let's get started. I am going to prime my eyes with each swatch. And I'm going to probably touch up my makeup. We'll see how it goes. I'm just wearing the Merit products that I received in PR. So this is my concealer, and then their Uniform Tinted Mineral Sunscreen product. So I just had it handy here, so that's what's on my face. Don't have any bronzer or anything on because I have a feeling it's all gonna wipe off. I'm using my Sigma eyeshadow primer, and I just want you guys to know I'm not really a big eye swatch gal. I've done it a few times before, and I've seen so much content on this collection already that I was like, what can I do that might be helpful for people? And I figured that eye swatches might be helpful. So we'll see. You guys let me know in the comments. Give me feedback. So the first shade I'm going to swatch is the shade called Luster. And this looks like a peachy pink shade. So I want to see what kind of dimension this has. I am just swatching it on a neutral base. So keep that in mind. But it's going to look different. Obviously swatch on different bases. Has a lot of silvery flecks to it as well. It has like a creamy formula. I'm gonna see if I can use my finger. This definitely feels like a very squishy formula. Just in the pan, it's moving around quite a bit, and it's definitely pulling peachy, silvery fleck. And on this side, I'm gonna do Gleam. I wonder if it'll help if I just use my fingers. These are quite soft. I will say I had 3 casualties in this palette. So Gleam, Nightshade, and Haunting all came a little bit squished. So keep that in mind. The shade Gleam is a pinky, salmony kind of color. And they definitely appear more pigmented when you use your finger. Both these shades seem a lot more subtle than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be a little bit brighter. Okay, the next 2 shades we're going to swatch are Glimmer and Gilded. So Glimmer is a beautiful like taupey silvery shimmer shade, and Gilded is a beautiful yellowy gold with some green shifting metallics. It's very much that like purpley shade that has a ton of blue green sparkles. Eyeshadow is everywhere at this point, and I've only swatched 3 shades, so it is what it is. And now Gilded. This one looks very promising. Keep in mind, I would typically spray these, and I think that usually helps them stick to my eyelid. That is a stunning gold shade. Next, we're going to swatch Nightshade and Perline, I think is how you say it. So we've got like a really pretty swamp green and a very pearly white shade. This is gorgeous. I feel like this is really capturing a mermaid sheen, and then the green one is a grungy green. So I'm actually gonna, there we go, that's so pretty. I'm gonna use what I have on my fingers because I was like wasting product by just wiping my hand off. So there's a good situation. Gives you an idea. Definitely feels like these brushes don't pick up the eyeshadows as well as my finger does. And I was trying to pick Sigma brushes because I have a lot of them, and I'm picking the E55, which usually I have no problem with, but could be so many things because, like I said, usually I'm spraying my shimmer so they stick a lot better. Usually I have the option to spray them, and there's like mattes to grip onto, so I don't know. But here is Nightshade and Perline. Okay, so the next two shades we're going to swatch are Infused and Realm. These two look like neutral shades. So we have two kind of goldeny, bronzy shades. This one called Realm has a lot of purple in it. This one looks like a typical bronzy gold shade. So let me just tap that on with my finger. This one is so pretty. If you're into like neutrally purpley vibes, I think you would really like that. So I'm gonna swatch Infused on my brush. I feel like these aren't showing up as bright as they could be just looking in the mirror, so I hope my camera is like really picking these up because I would be so sad if you couldn't really see what's going on my eyes. I will say these are squishy. They are moving around in the pan a little bit. Not terrible though, not like overly squishy, because sometimes those shades can be a little harder to work with when they're moving around so much. These seem like they have the right amount of binding in them so they're not too loose in the pan. I really like this shade. It's so pretty. It has like the prettiest like purple undertone to it. Okay, so I am now getting into like the blue portion of the palette. I feel like this portion's more of like those earthy tones, and these ones look more like the fairy iridescent shades, so we'll see. Again, I just put on primer. I did touch up my concealer a little bit because the under eyes were getting a little bit cray-cray, but we're gonna swatch the shade Estranged and Elusive, which is like a really pretty blue purple, and then Estranged is like a taupey silvery shade. It's got like a little bit of purple in it, I think. Elusive looks very much like a mermaidy color. Okay, and then Elusive. I feel like this is definitely one of those shades that's gonna look better with a base underneath it. On like my skin tone base, it's not really doing anything for this shade, but definitely has like some beautiful ethereal blue sparkles in it. Okay, so just a small PSA, I just reviewed my swatches, my eye swatches, and they're not looking the most pigmented, but just again, please keep in mind these would probably just pop so much more on a colorful shadow or a colored base. I'm just using the Sigma Ignite primer because that's what I usually use, but I always have eyeshadow on before I put on a shimmer shade, so hopefully you can still get an idea. And I really wish I had thought to like spray the shadows before I put them on my eyes, but I don't want to do that now halfway in because I feel like that'll kind of mess up the experiment. So hopefully you guys are seeing like the potential, even just seeing the shade swatch here on my fingers. So this is the shade Haunting, another beautiful like blue purple shade, and then Splice is a gold with a blue shift, or blue with a gold shift. It's very much just like a bunch of beautiful mermaidy vibes. And honestly, I don't know, maybe you have colors like this in your collection already, and maybe you don't need to buy an all shimmer palette, but do you have all these shades in one place? Do you have a lot of all shimmer palettes? Definitely things to consider when you're thinking about buying this. It's definitely a unique thing for Blend Bunny and their lineup, but I know that other brands have done all shimmer palettes in the past, so maybe something to consider. Also, you always want to consider the price, of course. I feel like under $50 for an all shimmer palette is a really competitive price point, and the packaging is just so gorgeous. So I think they definitely nailed that when it comes to this collection. Okay, next we're gonna swatch Lucid and Vitality. That is this beautiful light blue and the more tealy blue shade. So let's see. Here they are. Oh, I always love a good icy blue. That is so pretty. Oh yeah. Oh, oh, you see that base? That base made that eyeshadow pop. Oh, those two are so pretty. Okay, I'm a sucker. You guys know I'm a sucker for a beautiful blue eyeshadow any day of the week. Well, also beautiful green eyeshadow, but these ones just seem to have magic in them because they're like really looking so lovely on my lid. Thank goodness. I was like, guys, I'm really not trying to make this palette look bad. So pretty. It's just like a beautiful blue sparkle. We have two beautiful blue sparkles here. Okay, last raw home stretch. We're gonna swatch the silvery shade called Alloy. And then we have a really true like gunmetal-y silver shade called Phantom. Oh my goodness, look at those. If you're a fan of silvers, I feel like these are gonna be your shades. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, I'm just gonna use my Sigma E55. I'm just trying to press it in. Okay, so this is Alloy and Phantom. And I totally just realized that I forgot to swatch a shade. So I was so confused because I was like, how do I only have one shade left? There's 18 shades in this palette. That means that I have duos to swatch. And I just went through and realized which shade I forgot. So I'm going to be swatching the shade I forgot and the last shade in the palette next. Okay, so the shade I forgot about is Bonsite. So sad. It's a beautiful bronzy tone, and then the last shade is, so we'll swatch that. This one's definitely got a very blackened base to it. It's definitely a shade I wouldn't necessarily reach for, and I'm deathly afraid of super dark eyeshadows like this because they can make you look like you were in a fight, and so I usually avoid them like the plague. But the shade Bonsite is a very pretty dark brown, chocolatey brown shade with lots of green sparkles, so that one's a very beautiful shade. Okay, I feel like this black shade's gonna be a nightmare to get off my eyes, but that's a problem for another day. Hopefully you can see all the pretty silvery sparkles of that eyeshadow. And of course, again, I apologize for screwing up the order of the swatches. Of course, it was bound to happen because why would I ever just have it go right? And you know, it just shows you that my mind's in like a million places at once. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little break, and I'm gonna do an eye look, and then we'll chat about my thoughts on this new collection. Start off with the shade called Marbled, and I'm gonna put that in my crease and on my lid, but I'm just gonna really try and keep that on the lower half and dust off my brush as well. I really tried to keep the gray shade low on my lid and crease because if I pull it up too high, it's gonna look, I don't know, just like too dark almost. So this is like my trick for smoky eyes. It's just kind of keeping it really low on the lid and crease. And I think I'm doing a more cool tone look because I've been playing with a lot of neutrals and greens. And don't get me wrong, I love that for me. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of like switch it up a little bit. Okay, so I took the shade called Artifact and I'm just blending that into the crease. And I need something lighter. I think I might use Slate. I'm just trying to like blend it out without being too harsh. Everything is making a noise in my house right now. My cat is meowing. My kids are doing bath time with dad and it's like so loud. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's looking really gray right now, and then I just wanted to just play with the shade Vitality. I just want to put that all over my lid, so we'll see how it'll look, because it could look really gross or it might look really pretty. I'm hoping for really pretty. It's kind of an odd combo, but I thought I would try it. Something different, you know? So I have this Blend Bunny brush from the Lin's collection, and I'm just gonna pack that on. I think with these gray tones, any of these shimmers from the bottom half of the palette would look lovely. That looks so fun. I want to take a little bit of the shade called Elusive, which is like the light blue shade right here. And I'm just gonna pop a little bit of that on top too, just to give it some more color. Okay, I will say that's kind of toning down the blue, which I don't love, so nope, we're just going to pop Vitality on top of that. Keep it really bright and blue. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to do. So I'm going to finish up the lower lash line quick, and I'll finish up the makeup look, and I will be right back to show it to you. Okay, friends, so here is the finished look. Definitely let me know what you guys think. I ended up using a little bit of the shade Perlin in the inner corner, and then I threw on a little bit of the black shade from the All Matte palette to finish it up, and I threw in a light blue eyeliner to just kind of brighten up the look as well. So I hope we like that. And for blush, I actually used the Masterclass Giant palette, and I ended up going with the shade, this one is called Heat. Here it is, right here. Oh. And then for highlight, I used my YSL highlighter. So that is kind of just the breakdown of the makeup. And now I'm just going to give you guys my quick 2 cents on the palettes. And I really wanted to show you guys the original palette, because I think this is so fun. If you don't want the all matte neutral palette, I say you can go with this and then just grab the Garden of Stars palette, and you'll pretty much have everything you need to create beautiful, colorful looks. The beauty of this palette is that it's going to pair really well with neutral shadows as well as really fun, colorful shadows. For example, the shade I used on my eyes, I think would look so beautiful in a blue-green look with some of the shades from the original Volume 1 palette. So lots of options. I know so many of you are really big fans of the original Ellis and Blend Bunny collab, so I definitely feel like you will enjoy this one just as much. I think the packaging's beautiful. There's a little bit of something for everyone. And like I said, if you don't want to grab the all neutral matte palette and you already own this one, this would be a fun thing to pair together. I can't get over this packaging. I think it's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It looks like art. It really, really does. And they really stepped it up with this packaging. I love the pearlescent. It is raised like the lettering in the Ellis palette, but I don't know, something about this image is just so beautiful. So overall, I think this is really fun. The mattes, I will say I am a little bit tired because it is a lot of mattes, but I also know you can mix and match. So if you want to pull out some shades, replace them with some colorful shadows, really customize this palette to be more like an on-the-go version of the bigger palette, or if you get one of the smaller 15 pan palettes, you can build your own palette that way. So there are lots and lots of options. Think like making your own palette or like a BYOP, but all Blend Bunny shadows and like lots and lots of options. So there's really something for everyone. As far as the formulas go, I think they're nice. I think the mattes are quite thin, but they're very buildable mattes. So you can amp them up or you can kind of throw in a wash of color. The shimmers are lovely. I will say they're not like the super multi-chrome unique shimmers, but I think that's why the price point is $48 and we're not looking at like $100 and $120 all shimmer palette. So keep that in mind if you're trying to be more minimalist with your purchases this year. I would say look at swatches and see what you might have in your existing collection. I know myself, I have a lot of special shadows, and when I was swatching these, I know that I have similar shades in other palettes. So I'm sure you can definitely recreate the sauce if you're bound and determined, but also I know some people love to collect, and I think that if you're wanting to keep your Ellis collection together, I would say that you're definitely not going to be disappointed. Those are kind of my thoughts. I hope that this video was helpful. If you enjoyed the eye swatches or if you have any feedback, let me know. This palette is launching today at noon Central Standard Time, so definitely set a little alarm if you don't want to miss out. I don't know if anything's going to sell out, but I just wanted to mention, and I do have a discount code with Blend Bunny, of course, so you can use the code KHMakeup to save a little bit if you want to. Definitely use somebody's code. You don't have to use mine, and if you do use mine, I really appreciate it because I will make a small commission on that. I think that's everything. If I missed anything, let me know down in the comments. If you haven't seen my latest video, I did do a chatty get ready with me with some new makeup items as well. So check that out, and I will be back with my monthly haul. I definitely put off editing that, so I need to get on that. I've got some videos planned for August as well. So I will see you very, very soon. Bye, friends!